Hi, my name is Amy. Welcome to Strength Reversed. I thought I would do a little video addressing what seems to be a very hot topic on TarotTube at the moment, and that is deck collections, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I'm going to give my perspective as a non-collector. I've talked several times on my channel about the fact that I don't collect decks, and there are reasons for that. Now, the short answer is I don't really care how many decks someone has. I think it doesn't affect me and it's not hurting anyone. So I don't really care if you have lots of decks. I don't think that it means you're a hoarder. I don't think that it means you have attachment issues. Um, but certainly collections can weigh on us in certain ways. Sometimes a collection feels really heavy. Now, as I was thinking about this, I started pulling out the nines in my tarot deck. And to me, this was sort of, these were the lights and shadows of collecting decks. And the first card I pulled was the Nine of Cups. The Nine of Cups to me is is a good example of a collection. This is just someone who has what he wants. A shadow of this card might be glutton. Maybe you're buying everything you see. Every deck that looks pretty, you impulsively purchase it. And I have been down this road before. I have gone through phases where my eyes are bigger than my stomach, and every deck that looks pretty for a moment, I feel like I need to have. But my experience has been that is very short-lived. That initial rush that you get from buying really anything quickly dissipates, and you're left with disappointment. It's as you get to know the deck, it's like that person who, you really want to date, and then as soon as you get to know them, they lose their luster. They're not so sparkling anymore, okay? And you want to break up with them. So I pulled this card, and you can see all the cups on display here. And this card is a feel-good card. You might feel good having a lot of options, but at some point you can't use all of these options. Some of them are just going to sit on the shelf, and what does that really mean? Not a lot. And so this is what stops me, that feeling that I get when I have a bunch of decks that I don't really use. Now, a lot of decks I acquire because someone has given me a gift. And so those are decks that I wasn't expecting, and I take time to get to know them, and maybe I click with them or don't click with them. But the decks that I purchase for myself, one of my guidelines is that it just really has to, I don't chase it, it has to come to me. And it has to keep coming back, keep popping up and sticking in the back of my mind for a really long time, sometimes for over a year, maybe a couple of years. There was a deck that I drooled over for 3 years and finally got it. But those are the decks that I know I'm going to use. And my goal now, I have lots of decks that I don't use, and I keep them for lots of reasons. But my goal now is that if it's not something I'm going to use, I'm not going to purchase it. I think some people had strong opinions because of maybe not the collection so much, but some of the shadow issues behind what a collection might indicate or might not. And that is something that I think is really prevalent in, we'll call it the spiritual community, and that is rampant consumerism. there's just a lot of buying paraphernalia. For me, when I don't really love watching, there are some channels that I would consider to be deck channels. Um, and those videos get lots of views. People like looking at tarot decks, and that's fine. But to me, I don't really enjoy it because, like I said, I'm not buying it probably, and so I'm just not interested enough to look. Now, when I get a new deck, of course I want to share it with people who are going to understand what I'm talking about and maybe appreciate it. So it is fun to show off, the deck and what do you think of this deck? And I never noticed that, and things like that. It's fun to have that conversation. But I don't like having things sit on my shelf that sit there and collect dust. I feel like there's just this stuck energy, and I start feeling like the Nine of Swords. This might be one of the shadowier shadow sides of lots of stuff, not even just tarot decks. There were some people who I guess were critical of people who were purging their collections, but I think looking at your collection critically and deciding what serves me here and what doesn't serve me and what is giving me energy and what is taking my energy is a really healthy cycle. It's a healthy act. It's an act of self-love to let go of what doesn't serve you. So I think when you buy decks, maybe you use them and decide it's not for me, or you bought it for just to try it. I don't know. And then you let it go. I think that's completely reasonable and healthy. And decluttering and purging is not something that happens once. This is a cycle. Something serves you for a certain period of time, and then when it doesn't serve you, you let it go. And that's really good. That's a good thing. So I don't think someone purging their deck collection is an event. Okay, I think it's good. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. Like Martha Stewart would approve. This is my card this year, the Hermit. When I purchase a deck, for it to come into my collection and be housed here, I really, really want it to be used, and I'm not going to reach for it unless it speaks to me and, triggers something that is not intellectual, something that's just in here, something that is my intuition and my higher self and just, my heart. I have to feel it here. And some decks just have a certain way of accessing you. The symbolism speaks to you. Some people love certain decks that I just go, oh my God, ooh, and I'm sure that I love decks that people aren't really fond of. And that's just because it's not, it has to tug at my heartstrings, yes? And a new tarot deck might be a really useful way to go inside. It might be new symbolism, a new take on the card, a new way of looking at the aspect of the card or an aspect of yourself. It might just jog something. I've had that happen so many times. So a new perspective is good. I just don't know if, how many new perspectives there can be for me. There's even a shadow side of enjoying all of these decks, and that is that everything that we own takes a piece of our energy. And for me personally, the decks that don't get used, I just, when I think of them, I feel tired. I just feel this weight stay with me. Now, there are some decks that don't call to me very often, and so it's not like I'm going to use them every single day. Maybe I'll only use them a couple times a year. I do have a couple of decks that I don't use, but they have special meaning for me, and so I would not part with them, and they evoke some sort of memory or emotion for me. And that's why we keep stuff, right? That's just why we keep things. But there is a little bit of, in this Nine of Pentacles, like gilded cage kind of feeling. And also showiness. And it's these people are not experts. They're just people that have. And I think that's what, I guess that's what a collection might feel like to me. That it's not something useful. I would rather have it feel like an Eight of Pentacles or a Three of Pentacles, where it's a work in progress. Three of Pentacles is a good one. It's just a work in progress, and I'm working at unlocking all of the secrets in that deck, or unlocking the secrets in myself. But once things get out of control, once things get to a point where I have too much, it really weighs on me. It really tires me out. And just like any kind of clutter, it really does affect your space. It affects your feeling. When my house is a mess, no names, like it is now, I just itch, and I get really up here with my energy, and it's hard for me to settle down when things aren't in their place. So I don't collect because of the feelings that makes me feel. I have plenty of stuff, trust me. I'm not a minimalist, and I have no problems acquiring a new deck that I'm going to use. But sometimes I don't feel like watching deck walkthroughs because I just don't care. I don't care about the new deck. I'm not like there's a certain, I don't know, snobbery, I guess, when it comes to indie decks versus it's the mass market. You know, I don't really care if it's indie or mass market. I just it reminds me of a conversation I overheard in college. I eavesdropped, let's face it. And this girl in my class was telling someone how she doesn't listen to Ani DiFranco anymore because now everyone listens to her, and so she can't listen to her. And I thought, okay, honey, Ani DiFranco, yes. It reminds me of Ani DiFranco. If you remember that era in the 90s. So, yeah, these are my collection cards. This is the light and shadow of collecting. It really looks good. I don't know how useful having, 1,000 tarot decks is. Sometimes I feel like it's a distraction. It just distracts me from really going deep inside, and the tarot decks can distract me from the tarot cards, if that makes sense. It would be very easy to have a deck channel where I just did walkthroughs, because those are really easy videos to make, and it's just kind of distracts me from making the videos that I really intend to make. So that is, of course, my experience and why I don't collect, because it doesn't make me feel good, and because I don't think it adds anything to my tarot experience. You may have a totally different experience, and I respect that. So live and let live, TarotTube. I we'll do walkthroughs of the 2 decks that I did acquire this week, which is like a first for me. So, but they will get used, damn it, okay? I will see you guys soon, hopefully. I'm trying to make more videos, and that's it for me. I hope this wasn't too rambly. Okay, see you guys later. Love ya.